and welcome. Today, as part of a Christmas special, I'm very excited to feature Neeraja Ganesh as our WiP WonderWoman. Neeraja has done remarkable work on gender diversity, besides being a TEDx speaker. Welcome, Neeraja.
Thank you so much, Mandeep. A privilege, honor, and really happy to be on this platform today.
I am so impressed with your profile. I just can't read the whole, so I'm going to give the link to all our members. But it is so wonderful that you have touched the lives of so many women and you continue to mentor and be participative in so many communities. So after your stint in the IT industries after 25 years, I see that you've been spearheading the diversity agenda in various organizations and mentoring on a variety of platforms, including Aspire for Her and Jobs for Her more recently. And you've been a speaker on various prestigious forums across the globe, like Lean In, IEEE, PMI, TIE, NASSCOM, CII. You have been felicitated at various forums and won several awards and accolades. You have spoken at you've done various webinars, talks, panel discussions, podcasts, articles, interviews.
Anything to do with women. Either the word has to be there or the platform has to stand for, women, and it has to have women there, and Neeraja will be there. So thank you for, bringing another opportunity to me where I could address something.
I am so happy, and I'm happy that Priya and I got in touch with you, and that's how we got connected. Neeraja, one of the things which I get very fascinated to know is that what did you want to be when you were a child? What are your beginnings? I want to know your journey this far.
Right. Okay, so, people who are following me know this, that, I started off as a very meek, timid, shy girl. So I really don't think I had much in my heads because came from a conservative family background. So there wasn't any big talks about what will you become. Matlab, shaadi kar denge. That's about it, right? So, but yeah, my parents really sent me to the best of schools and colleges. I should definitely acknowledge that. I grew up in a small city called Indore, which is no longer small, but in those days, when my father got transferred to Indore, the whole family opened up the map of India to find out where it was, because in the south, no one had heard of this place called Indore. And there were only 3 good schools there. Right? One was a girls' convent, one was a boys' convent, and one was a co-ed. So, of course, I couldn't go to the boys. And co-ed, my parents didn't send me. So, but they sent me to the best girls' convent there. I'm saying, why should they? They could have just sent me to any school because eventually they were just going to get me married, right? So those are some of the things that I always remember, that they did the best for me, regardless of what they would have wanted for me or what I would have wanted. And I think all of that helped.
Yeah.
So yeah, growing up, I really didn't think that I want to be XYZ. But as I came closer in college, I felt the need to work a little bit, make some money of my own. Don't know why, because I was taken care of well, but there was always this feeling of, let me make my own money before I get married, and then whatever happens with life. So I was in a hurry to start working. So I had finished my graduation, and then I got into this course from NIIT. It was a 2-year course, but when I was in my 3rd semester, 4-semester course, I managed to get a job. So I took it on, and I did both my NIIT studies as well as my college together, the work together. Very, very hard, but I knew I wanted to kind of get some money, make some money of my own before maybe all of this stops, right? So that's how it started. So I never thought I will have a 25-year IT career. I thought, okay, till I get married, maybe. Then I got married and it was okay. The family was all right with me working. So I thought maybe when I have a child, that will be the, stopping. But even after that, in fact, my family said, because I'd taken a 10-month break. I mean, I had decided to leave. I was wanting to be with my daughter, Sneha. So after 10 months, I think people at home really got bugged of me because I was so paranoid about this child. And I said, nobody touches her. I'm going to take care of her and all of that. So they said, it'll do you some good if you step out of the house. And that's how I went back to work. And it has continued 25 years of corporate career. And then, the things that I have been doing.
What drew you to gender diversity? Were there any personal experiences, or was it an area of passion? How did you start championing the women's cause?
Yeah. So I would like to narrate three instances from my life, right?
Mhm.
The first one was that I was working in the initial years of my working, right? Um, I was part of a three-member team, and we developed a software for uh, for a bank, which had to be deployed across globally in all the installations that bank had. So we did it, and once it was developed and implemented, two of them left the team because you didn't need a three-member team to manage it. So I continued to be in the team to take any kind of post-implementation support and then many small bug fixes, any small change requests that came in and all of that. So I was handling this single-handedly for the bank. This was an ANZ bank, right? So its presence across. So I felt very thrilled and happy. Single-handedly, I make changes to the code and put new changes. I manage the bugs. I take calls. Sometimes I don't understand the accent of the person who's calling, but I'm able to kind of figure that out. I was very thrilled about it. So we had a change of manager. A new manager came. So I thought I'm going to be very proudly tell him that, see, I'm doing so well single-handedly. That was the underlining part. And after hearing me, he said, Neeraja, you made yourself indispensable, and you're never going to grow like this because you forever are going to be in this team because there is no one else who can manage the show. So how do you think you're going to grow? So what I want you to do is get out of the team and find someone else to replace you. That's all I want you to do. I was so disappointed because he didn't say a good word about me, saying indispensable, get out. Anyways, so it was difficult to find someone else. It was like your baby, right? To kind of think that somebody else will take care of this baby as well as you can. But I found two people and then I moved out of the team. So that's one story that I want to kind of narrate. The second one was this meek, timid, shy girl. I used to be very good at my job. So I came, I did my work and went home. I wouldn't speak to people or anything like that. And there was a need in my team. My team lead had traveled for 6 months on site. So they had to find another team lead. And in those days, this leadership was not about the qualities that we speak about today. It was about the most technically qualified person becomes the team lead. And I happened to be that. So they put me into that role. And because they put me into the role, I knew I had to do justice. So I started speaking because there were things that I had to speak on behalf of my team, kind of fight it out with stakeholders and all of that. So all of those leadership traits I developed. The third instance is that team that I was managing after the team lead came back, but they did not give him back the position because I was doing it so well. So they asked me to continue, and they actually asked him to report under me. So that was like, imagine. But I had a kind of a mandate, and I finished that, and I moved to another challenging project. So I was managing that. It was a 24/7 production support environment. So we had to run 3 shifts, and all of it from office, no work from home. So it was extremely challenging to do that, and I was managing that. And then they felt I was not doing enough. So they gave me another team to manage. So there were 2 teams that I was managing. And then there was an organization structure change. We are all aware, right? Every 2 years, you want to change the org structure. Sure. So these 2 teams split. Like one stayed in one business unit, the other went to another business unit. So what they did was they moved me with a smaller team into the other business unit. And I felt very sad because here was I trying to set up this 24/7, operations, and I'd done a good job. And they moved me with one, kutty team, small team into another business unit. And there was the new manager who came. She told me, Neeraja, you have ample leadership potential. And in this business unit, we have a lack of leaders. And that is why they moved you here. So what I'm trying to say is, for me, this meek, timid, shy girl might have remained like that forever. But number one, I consider my first manager who told me, you're making yourself indispensable as a mentor. In some ways, he mentored me that if you have to grow, you have to come out of your comfort zone and, you have to create a second line for yourself so you can grow and others can grow. The second one was that an opportunity just came to me. While nobody would have thought that you could be a leader, but an opportunity presented itself and I kind of made the most of it. And the third was that there was an acknowledgement from someone saying that you have it in you. It just happened to me. And when I reflect back on that, I felt that if it had not happened, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I really felt compelled that I must make things happen for others. No, people can't just assume that things happen for Neeraja, it will happen for everyone. So what can we do to ensure that, the problems that women have, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, lack of self-confidence. Why will I speak about my work? Others should get to know about it themselves. All of this, I really wanted to break it for them. So no, you've got to take it in your hands and move forward. You have it in you. So with that, I started, doing certain programs when I was in the corporate. I brought women together as part of networks. I brought inspirational women to, speak to them. And I started mentoring. And then obviously I said, okay, now I'm just doing it within my organization. What about the other women? And then I started becoming part of platforms where there's such opportunity came my way. And today I do whatever is possible to create that impact for the woman so that she can transform herself.
Oh, terrific. In fact, when you look at all inflection points for all the women that like you were inspiring, and some of the things resonate. We didn't have anyone looking out for us. We use those opportunities when we don't look at, I always tell people that I never had a formal mentoring relationships. If you had a good boss who taught you a tip or two, it remained with you. And you went on to do that. But I'm so glad that we are at least trying to do a little bit to provide those opportunities for a lot of them. And these are the topics we've been talking about in our forums as well, of the lack of confidence and imposter syndrome, and how do we empower the women. Do you find that there are better, in fact, bringing suddenly you to the Gen Z, that you think that these girls have better opportunity now, or they are more sorted? Do they know what they're doing is because they have moms who are more well-informed?
So I think the jury is divided. I think in terms of that, let's look at the privileged class. If we can call ourselves the privileged class for sure, because our girls have it all. There, I feel that there is a lot of confusion, despite the fact that plenty of opportunities are available and you can go grab them and do whatever you want to. I feel there is still confusion because they're spoiled for choice. And I think the decision making, and I'm generalizing, but I think largely the decision making, they struggle with it because they want this and they can do this also. And they want everything very fast, right? So maybe if I do that, I'll get it faster. So there is that class of, the Gen Z girls who are struggling. But having said that, because I also work with the not so privileged, maybe financially, economically weaker sections, etc. You present an opportunity to them and they grab and they move on.
Yes.
They just do it. So actually, volunteer at this NGO, which is called as a Hope Works Foundation. And I've seen those girls the first time when I saw them, couldn't open their mouths and so very in self-doubt. And with whatever interventions we presented to them, in 1 year, we had one girl fighting the college elections. And another one who came and said, I'm only going to do a PhD. And these are the girls who had only a vision of becoming, like their mother, the homemaker, or maybe, a housemaid somewhere. That's it. And that's a transformation we have seen when we kind of presented whatever we had to offer to them. So the answer is that there's plenty of opportunities. And to all those, girls and boys who are listening to me, you can't have it all, and there's no need to have it all at the same moment. Do prioritize, because that's most important, because you have so many things. Can you just prioritize to say, okay, 1, 2, 3 for this year, and let me go about doing that? There's a whole, life ahead of you. We always say your career is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So take it that way. And but in terms of confidence, I think the girls have it more these days. I definitely see that. I don't think the imposter syndrome bothers them so much.
They talk about it all the time. They know that much more.
So I remember my own daughter, a couple of years ago, I think 2020, there was this platform called Kocharia, who were running their annual conference, and I was asked to speak. And the person who was talking to me, she knew about my daughter. My daughter had just then completed her 12th. So she was just starting college. And she said, why don't you do a mom and daughter kind of a talk? So I said, okay, I will ask her. And I came and asked her. And she said, of course, we'll do it. And I thought, oh my God, at that age, I would have said, why me? Me? What will I say? Not me and all of that. But so that's definitely a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as they are able to prioritize and then just focus on that bit, I think they'll do very well.
We hosted a dynamic duo series in which we had a mother and daughter, two sisters, and then we had two friends and all that. And they just happened to be, she's a very renowned doctor. So I thought I'll go in person. And this was just during the pandemic. I dropped in and they were not talking to each other that day because I had just told them that I'm going to be asking her. She's a chef and she's a gynecologist. So it was really interesting. And I can totally kind of relate to that, how when you speak about it, because we agree to a lot of things, but we might disagree on certain things, and such conversations become very interesting. You counsel a lot of women, you coach a lot of women, you are helping a lot of women in various ways. I'm sure that they're coming out with some of the issues and concerns, which you see certain trends which are very common. So what would you tell that what are the 3 essential skills that you feel that for women that you would like to say that if you can sort these things out, I would think that it will cover this percentage of the women?
Yeah, I think the first one is the self-belief. No one is going to do anything for you. Let's start there. Yes. You have only yourself. Okay. So you've got to do it. You've got to make it happen for yourself. So find a way to resolve whatever issues you are. Having said that, I'm not saying don't ask for help. Please do. But don't think that, the whole world will come and do something for you. First, you have the self-belief that, yes, I can and I will. Build allies, etc. It's very, very important. Seek out mentors. All of that is there. But it is to be a self-belief from within you to say, yes, I can do this, right? That's definitely like a life skill, I should say, in any space, anytime. The second one, I always say networking and personal branding. You have to network and you have to build visibility for yourselves. You can't minimalize all your achievements. The other day, I was at this awesome panel. I was listening. There's a 16-year-old girl, Sia Godika, who's a Diana Award winner. And she runs this initiative called as the Soul Warriors, where she repurposes, all these shoes and slippers. We have so many of them and we hardly use them. Sure. And then she makes it available to those who don't have any slippers, So she's done 29,000 such fittings already. And then she's just 16, she's in 12th standard, right? And the first lesson I told her was, because the rest of the panel was much older and they'd done whatever they've done in their lives. But I said, at 16, if you manage to do this, be proud about it. You've got to talk about your achievements. No, it's not bragging, but you have to kind of, put it out there. Nobody else is going to do that for you. So that's the second thing about personal branding and networking. Both of them go together. And lastly, similar to it, but speak up. Keeping quiet doesn't help. You have to speak up, whatever you have in your mind. You want to ask for something, ask for that. If you think something is not right, why are you given a seat at the table? There's enough and more happening in the diversity and inclusion space today. So they may say, okay, let's bring 2 women here. But if you do not make use of that opportunity to speak and voice your thoughts, then it's a wasted seat, right? And they may not again bring you in. So always speak up. So these are 3 things.
There is so much of, at least with the pandemic, we also had the work from home and a whole lot of things. This whole debate, and I know you've spoken a lot about it, and that's why I'm bringing it to it. This work-life integration keeps coming up. What is your advice to women when they always say that, I'm working 24/7 and I never have enough time? That's why I don't write. That's why I don't speak. That's why I'm tired. So I always see that this is perpetually coming. In fact, I sometimes ask women to come in front of panels or have debates with us or just appear in any of the things, and they say we don't have time. And I realize that the women who are actually doing really well, they will make times for things which are essential. What has been your experience?
That's right. You said it. You have to make time. Otherwise, we will have enough and more. It will always be there. Like, for example, this 1 hour we made time, right? Otherwise, I'm sure you could have done something else. There is enough in the to-do list. If you write to-do lists, and there's enough that I can do, right? But we made time. How did we make time? We put it in our calendars. A very simple formula. If there is something that you wish to do or you've been asked to contribute to, which you like, put it in your calendar. First thing. And we usually do only the official stuff on the calendar, right? Okay, I have this meeting and that meeting. I say even a dentist appointment, put it in the calendar. You want to go for a party, put it in your calendar. Everything needs to go in there. One integrated calendar for you, which will have, and it's not a 1 day view of the calendar, at least a 1 week view. Could be, longer than that, but at least on a Sunday or a Saturday, decide your calendar for the next week and put everything personal and professional into it, which includes me time, which includes,
date night.
Absolutely, everything. It has to be there, and have a little bit of buffer every day. Don't pack it up, right? Have a bit of a buffer so that there will always be exigencies. There will be always spillovers, which you can fit into that little bit of buffer. Or you can kind of say, okay, today this is very, very important, and I will push this to tomorrow because there is a half an hour slot tomorrow. But you know why this will work and how this will work when you know what your priorities are. If you know this is what I want to achieve in this week, only then this calendarization will work. Otherwise, you will not know what to throw out. Okay, and you will throw out yourself. The me time that you've blocked for yourself will be the first thing that will go out, and then you'll say, oh, you know what? I never get time for myself. This is terrible in terms of work and life. And yeah, I know it is hard because when you're working from home, it's that much more harder. So today I told the maid, you will not come into this room, you'll finish that first because I don't want any disturbances, right? So you've got to do a few of those things. Told my husband, do not just walk in and say, what's for lunch? It's there at the table. You'll find it when the lunchtime, right? You've got to tell the family, tell everyone, even your office. If every day at 5 o'clock is your me time, which could be, say, yoga or a walk or a book or something, you feel you need that at 5 p.m., tell your team, do not call me at 5. Unless it's a super emergency, I'll be back at 6. Then we can take the calls. I will look at the messages or I'll look at the emails. So it is important to tell everyone. And the other thing is respect your calendar. Once you've done that, you have to respect your calendar. If you're sitting down with your kids from 7 to 8, that's your, time for family. Can you tell your mother not to call you at 7? We all have our mothers who will call us just for a, general chit chat, but make her aware of whoever else that, no, see, I have to sit down with my kids. This is this 1 hour. There's no point if, you've called it out as homework time, play time with your children, and then you're on call with somebody else. Everyone will understand and appreciate, and then they will also make their life like that. So you're actually, it's a ripple effect. So it is not very hard. Starting trouble is there because you'll say, as such, I don't have time. Now you're telling me prioritize, telling me put in calendar and all of that. A little bit is needed in the beginning, but then it becomes way of life. It's a way of life for me. The minute Mandeep tells me something, gone into my calendar. Or I will say, Mandeep, can you please put it into the calendar so that it's just there. The other thing is, I can't just walk into a meeting like this with Mandeep, right? I need to do some preparation. But that Mandeep is not going to calendarize for me. That I have to calendarize. So I've done that. So the 16th at 12, if I have to speak to Mandeep, I will kind of collect my thoughts a day before or this morning so that this meeting goes very well. That is another thing that all of us need to do. Preparation time also needs to be calendarized. But
that comes from the pride in the work. I can see it when you're talking, or anyone else who has pride in what they're speaking about or what they stand for, your own brand. So this is something which is lovely. I know.
Right. That's right.
Have there been, I don't know, I'm sure you also have a lot of middle-aged women, I don't know whether to call them middle-aged or younger women with 15, 20 years experience, who reach a stage when they say that, the kids are in 10th and 12th and, I'm a caregiver and should I be continuing? Should I drop off the, the career, corporate career, and what shall I do? So what is your advice to these women?
Stay there. See, leaving is very easy, right? I always talk about Sheryl Sandberg, who says, don't leave before you need to leave.
Yeah.
Our minds and heads are programmed in such a way to think that, okay, my child, when she comes to 10th, it'll be a very difficult year. So from 8th standard itself, let me not take those kinds of assignments which will make my life very difficult, from a professional angle in 10th. But you've got 2 years, at least 2 more years, right? So do everything that you can do in those 2 years. When the 10th happens, then you think about it, right? So that's one thing. We always forecast, and today we slow down. What that does to you is that, one is, you imagine for yourselves that, it is going to be difficult. Maybe it's not going to be difficult, right? That's one thing. Two, because you've slowed down already, when you have to make that choice, the work that you're doing is not very interesting. So then the choice obviously goes into, at least let me quit, or, just be with my family or something like that. So don't leave before you have to really leave. Do what is required for today. Tomorrow we will take care of tomorrow, and things will, resolve tomorrow on its own. Because as women, if we commit to something, we deliver on it. That is for sure. So you will find a way to do it, right? But if you are in a situation where it is extremely hard to manage both, what I would say is, don't completely leave. Do something to be in touch. And that could be any small thing, but be, in touch with, so you may be in an IT corporate job which you left. Like when I quit from a corporate, I quit without a job. But I knew that there are many, many things that I could be part of. And I decided to, kind of put my foot in there. So I had taken 3 months off before I actually resigned, because I was doing a few things at home. All the people who supported me in my career, kind of, life came to a standstill because they all went through health issues. So I was home caring for my mother and, my husband and my father-in-law and all of that. But every day I still went out for 2 hours. It wasn't very difficult, right? I mean, I live in a joint family. So my mother, someone had to be around her, which the rest of the family is. And I'm just a phone call away. In case I'm needed, I will come back. So I found a time slot when she would also be resting. 2 hours I would step out to go talk to some people to see what else can I do, to volunteer in some places, because these are added, advantages and experiences that you gather. So when I quit, I knew I had 100 things that I could do. So keep doing that little bit, even if it comes to a stage where you have to, kind of leave your corporate job. I would also recommend a story and a book. But before that, let me also narrate the story. So when I went to head the jobs for her foundation, this was after my corporate stint. In between, for 3 months, I quit in September. I started heading the jobs for foundation in January. So the 3 months, October, November, December, was I used to do a lot of volunteering and going around meeting people, but it was very flexi. So my husband saw more of me at home. We used to have, lunch together, which has never happened in the 25 years, right? And all of that. So when I picked up the job of heading the not-for-profit foundation, there were a few things he said. One was that you have no experience in running a not-for-profit, which means that it's going to take more time for you to learn and then to deliver on this. You really want to do it at this time, at this, phase. Second, we were going to construct a house. So, house constructions take a lot of your time. So he said, will you be able to do both? Because you want the house in a particular manner, right? So you want to be in there instructing all those people. 3, my mother-in-law had a fall and had a fracture, and she was recovering. But also the fact that, sometimes you had to be at home. While my husband used to work from home, my sister-in-law was helping out. Sometimes you may have a need to be at home because my sister-in-law, my husband may not be able to care. So just all of this, do you really want to start something on your own, something new? So I told him this, right? First I said, the house, yes, we've not even drawn the plan. It will take us 3 months to get that approved. And by the time the walls come up, because only after that all your intrusions are needed, it's going to be 6 months. It's going to take me 6 months. So let me start something now. We'll figure that out. Second thing that I did was, I spoke to Neha, the boss, my manager, and I said, see, these are the 2 things that sometimes I may need to work from home. Those days we used to always work from office because of my mother-in-law. While there's a lot of help, there might be a day or 2 when I have to work from home. And she was okay with it. The third, I told her, the house construction. So 6-7 months later, I will need a little bit of flexibility. So I may go during the day to look at that construction. And after it's constructed, which will be at least a year later, I want a 1 month off because I want to settle in that house. She was so thrilled that I told her this so many months before. And I asked for what I wanted so that she could also plan accordingly.
Yeah.
So don't assume. Have those conversations with people at home. Have those conversations with, whoever you're working with, and support will come to you. Maybe you are not able to think of how, this support will work out, but they may be able to think for you and say, will this help you in the current situation? So you may not necessarily have to really leave. So that's what I would say. And the book that I want to refer is Apurva Purohit's Lady or the Boss. Phenomenal book. Please do read it. She talks about all of this. And lastly, she says, do something for yourself. Don't kind of, what should I say? Give away your life for everybody else around you. I know that, life is meaningful only when, all others are also with you, but there is also you. So just keep doing something for yourself.
Thank you so much that we can keep on hearing you and listening. We have to keep bringing you back. And I think somewhere we've been soul sisters, whether it was ANZ, whether it is Love for MP. मैं MP की बहू हूँ, by the way. And we have actually put a startup in Indore, and we'll talk more about it offline. But I think, thank you so much. There's so many topics we want to talk about, but I won't let you go till I ask you, what is your own success mantra?
So I think by now people should know, right? My TEDx talk was on that. Be yourself, right? Don't try to be somebody else. Many of us feel that I think she reached that position because she did XYZ. Take the inspiration. You are listening to me, take the inspiration. But you don't have to, do exactly the things that I did. So be yourself, for which you need to know what you want, right? So that prioritization comes from that. What is it that I want? That needs a little bit of reflection. And if it is very different to what the rest of the world wants and does, doesn't matter. Because only then you'll be successful. If you're chasing somebody else's dreams, you'll never be successful, right? So be yourself. Yeah, that's been my mantra.
Thank you so much, Neeraja Ganesh. This has been fantastic interview. I know it is, there are so many more things to capture, but I think I'm going to sum this up as saying that for everyone, I know it's very hard, but first understand what you want in life and then learn how to articulate and ask for it. This kind of sums up with all the skills you talked about and being the best version of yourself, which is what you share. Please stay connected to our WiP community and keep inspiring us. Happy holidays and all the very best. Happy New Year to you and the family.
Thank you. And I'm sure we will do something more in 2023 together.
Yes. And I'm in January, I'm in Bangalore, and I want to have a cup of tea, coffee, or a meal with you.
Okay? Definitely. We'll do that.
Thank you so much, Neeraja. Bye-bye.
Bye.